Good morning. Good morning, all. Welcome to this webinar. Again, we want to thank you for your time, and we hope that you are staying safe during this pandemic. We know that we're going to be out of this as soon as possible. So thank you again for joining this webinar. The Learning Space, a Transform Africa company in partnership with Microsoft and First Distribution, brings to you this webinar today on empowering small and medium businesses with Microsoft solution. This is the part 3. We have had the part 1 and part 2 series, and we hope that we continue to add value in this webinar in terms of just bringing you real value added solution that Microsoft offers. So today we have, very exciting panelist members that are on the call today. We have Oyidamola Olalekan. Oyidamola is the Technical Project Director for Virtual Formatics. She has a great passion for technology, and we'll be hearing from her in a bit. We also have Olumide Dixon. Olumide Dixon is the sales specialist for First Distribution. He has been with us through the webinar series, through the part 1 to part 3, now that we are having today. And he comes with a wealth of experience, truly amazing stuff in terms of just continuing to engage with business on how to ensure that you remain productive. Also, individuals also considering adopting the Microsoft solution. You just got to equip yourself with some sort of knowledge in your decision-making process. We have Peace Inform, the network executive for Virtual Formatics. So Peace comes with a lot of passion for technology, and she has been at the center of this for some time. Then we also have Blessing Olatuga, productivity solution executive for Virtual Formatics. So again, as you can see, it's a team of young people, right, just trying to discuss technology with all of us. And we are hoping that we can get some value out of this session today. So again, my name is Kabiru Muhammad Aliu. I'm the founder for Transform Africa. Also, I like to learn, and I like to be at the center of engaging a lot of young people in society. So basically, what I will be doing today is that we have some presentation, just an overview, so that if you are just joining this webinar today, you've missed the part 1 and part 2. The intention really is just to give you a summary of what we have discussed in the last sessions. So basically, these are some of the concerns that businesses have. How do we keep costs low? How do you improve productivity and efficiency? How do you stay competitive? And in doing all this, the key takeaway is security. Especially, most of us are now, all now have a digital footprint online. As you are joining this meeting, for instance, or this webinar, you are already on the online footprint, so you must secure your identity, you must protect yourself. The same way you protect your house, you must ensure that you lock your house properly and you don't leave any window or any door or any loophole open for anyone with malicious intention to be able to come in. So that is really some of the business concern that businesses have with regards to how do you keep that cost low, especially now that businesses are having some productivity concern or productivity issues with their businesses. It is very important to keep your costs low, but however, it's very important to drive your productivity higher because you want to ensure that you have revenue coming in constantly, into your organization. Also competition, because you got to stay alive, meaning that you got to survive, not just survive, but innovate. Because if you are there to survive, well, you might hang on for a bit, but over time you might be outnumbered in terms of the innovation that is coming in and also the creativity that we have. So these are some of the real concerns around what businesses are having. And it's important to understand that with Microsoft, you are able to address some of this concern. However, though, it's not just having Microsoft solution at your organization that solves the problem, but how are you actually using it? With the learning space, we can help you to unlock, the value of your applications and the value of the services that you have, you are consuming. So it's very, very important that you understand how to unlock various functions that you have within Microsoft. That is some of the value that we bring in on the table. How can you actually make the best out of these two sets? So from a recap perspective, we've covered the use of PowerPoint, and PowerPoint is not just as traditional as you have it, with the traditional PowerPoint that you have on your desktop, with the Office 365, with the Microsoft 365, it really brings, some fun into the use of PowerPoint, especially when you look at the artificial intelligence and some of the things that, you're able to do. Imagine you just, giving your computer, a few information about the presentation you want to do, and it gives you the initial draft in seconds. And I think that is powerful. That makes you more productive and inspires you to actually create your content and try to be more productive. We talked about Excel as well. We talked about Planner. How do you ensure that you use some of these tool sets to ensure that you plan for what you are doing within your organization? We also looked at My Analytics. Do you have a good work-life balance? People within your organization utilizing the various tool sets that you have provided, right? We also looked at forms where you can use to collect data both internally and also externally. Very, very important, that you're able to do this. And then we looked at the leading solution, which is Microsoft Teams, right? From Teams, you can actually literally live within Teams. You can live within Teams. You can drive your team productivity all from one platform. So again, it just gives you, if you are somebody that doesn't want to use multiple things, you could just work from Teams alone and you have everything going for you. So which is some of the things that we have covered in the series that we have had, the part 1 and part 2, right? So this is just a sharp recap. So again, please enjoy, follow us, because what we're going to be doing today is that we're going to be covering SharePoint, and we might try to do some recap of other productivity suites to see how we can bring it into SharePoint to make it a bit more interactive. So we're going to be covering SharePoint, in the demo session that we're going to be going through. I really highly advise that you try all your possible best to follow the demo as best as possible. Also, what I would also advise is that you try to as well ask if you have any Q&A questions that you want to ask. Please you can start posting them on the Q&A section of this interface, so that we can attempt to answer as many questions as possible. So as you can see from my screen, right, you could see that Office Microsoft 365 has a lot of functional tools that you can use for your organization, right? And just from under $5 or from $5 upwards, you are able to have access to most of these productivity suites for your business, right? Like we spoke about, we've touched a number of these productivity suites already, but today we'll be focusing on SharePoint. SharePoint allows you to manage or navigate your business internally. You could create your SharePoint website and then share within your within your organization to help you bring resources together into one view, right? So that from a navigation perspective, your employees or your team can access these functionalities very, very easily and navigate your corporate organization as easy as possible, right? And with SharePoint, you can bring a lot of tool sets, into the SharePoint itself. So basically, these are some of the things that, as you can see, it has a bouquet of services and function that you can actually utilize. And we encourage that you invest some time in training as well, so that you could maximally use these functionalities to the best possible way. Because at the end of the day, if you have these tool sets without using it to the best possible way, you might not unlock the full potential that some of these tools gives to you. Like I think we touched on Power Automate a bit as well. And imagine that you don't necessarily have to be monitoring your Facebook page or your Twitter page on a regular basis. Your business can now become 24/7, meaning that you can automate some processes to say, once somebody posts on your Facebook company page, if it's a negative sentiment or even if it's a positive sentiment, perform certain action. Wake me up, as an example. That means it sent you an email or it sent you a text message that you got a request, or you got something that has been posted on your Facebook page. So that means you don't necessarily need to be watching your Facebook page, regularly, because you have already implemented some processes, right, that would trigger some of the action that people might be looking, to get out of that. So, these are some of the tools that you could really use to empower your business. So I would now take you to SharePoint now for us to just explore. So let's just explore together, right? So if you're on the call, let's just explore, some of these things together and just see how we can actually get as much value as possible. So I'll be moving to SharePoint shortly, but in the meantime as well, I still want to encourage you as best as possible to post any questions that you have, right, on the Q&A section of this webinar. Let's make it as interactive as possible. You can start posting your questions as we go through the rest of the event, right? So as a recap, we are talking about, if you're just joining, we are talking about Microsoft 365 and the benefit that it can give to your organization. And we want to focus today webinar on SharePoint. We have covered a number of suites in our previous webinars, and today we just want to enhance you with more of these productivity suites. So as you can see, I have a SharePoint site that you are looking at. But we now need to create a site. So it's as interactive as possible, just going to create site. Once you click on create site, you are able to then determine what type of site do you want to create. So let's say we want to create a communication site, right? More for making sure that we have our communication going. So just to make sure that we have that going. So we're going to create a communication site, today. So let's click on communication site. Now you got to give the site a name, right? So let's say, for example, let's just say company important communication, right? So we got the site name, and as you can see, it attempts to give the site a bit of a site address. This site address can always be edited because you want to make the site name or the site name browser friendly, right? So for example, you can just, edit that and make it, let's just say company, maybe C, let's just make it CII as an example, right? Company important information, right? So just to make navigation a bit easy, what is the description of this? So we can give it a description. So which is important information here. So let's just say important info, navigation to information, right? So important info and navigation. So let's leave it at that. As you can see from here, it begins to present to you how your site will look from a mobile app perspective, and how it's also going to look from a website perspective as well. What topic do we want to address here? Let's just say we want to do a blank site. Let's just build it from blank. We don't want to use any template or anything like that. So you can see now the mobile view and the website view has now changed to blank, right? So we can then finish this up. So the powerful message here is that it's as easy as click, and you're already beginning to build your company related information, and you are beginning to have an intranet. So an intranet is a site that can be accessible by members of the organization, right? It is not accessible to somebody external, but it's accessible to somebody within the organization. You could also make it external if you want, and then allow other people to access it. But that's maybe why you need to have your normal website, to handle that kind of information. But let's go ahead and continue to build this site. So we are looking at editing. So we're going to edit it. So as we edit it now, we can now begin to create sections, right? We can begin to create sections. So I'm going to add a section or a web part. Now, let's say, for example, I want to add a form that somebody that we need. For example, if you want to request for resources, let's say you want to request for a laptop, you want to request for a paper or stationery, you want to get some approval, to do certain actions within your organization. So you could set up a form for people to be able to request for that information. So as you can see, in as much as we are not in Microsoft Forms, but we can actually integrate the forms within this intranet itself. So I'm going to click on the Microsoft Forms, and it's going to ask me probably a question or two questions to say, do I want to create a new form or do I want to bring in an existing form? So if you have existing forms already created, you could bring them in, which is also very, very good, because then you can actually utilize the forms that you already have within your organization. So in this case, I'm going to just click on a new form. So let's create it. So just as a refresher on how to use this form functionality, let's just say we want to have this is a request form, right? So employee wants to request for certain information, and you want to give them a request form. So I'm now going to create. Now it is probably now going to take me now to another page, right? Where I will then be able to enter what I call it, enter the form information, right? So basically, I would, in the back end now, I'm trying to create the form, right? Just to make sure that that we can have the form going. So basically, as you can see now, I would then be able to add what I call it, add a new form. So it's a request form. I can now start adding some fields. So in this case now, I want to make the first question a text field. So for example, it could just be name as an example. Let's just call it name and your surname, right? As an example, if that's the case. Or we could just probably just make it name, and then we have another field for surname, right? So your answer will then be there. Is it required? Is it a long answer? In this case, it's a short answer. So we'll just probably leave it as required, because we're required to know your name as you are requesting for this form. Then we can then add another field. Let's add, as you can see now, it's already suggesting to me, right? Fields to add. So in this case, let me ignore the suggestion and add my own field, and I'll just go to text again. Let's just add surname, right? Again, it is required, right? It's a required field for completion. I can go again and add another field, right? So let's call that. Let's have something that would probably be able to field an email address. But let's just go on a text field again. So we want your email address, right? So we want your email address. So basically, is this required? Again, you can do some restrictions or some validations, right? So let's just look at some restrictions that we can do quite quickly. So basically, we could then say that this field is a numbers field. We could look at a certain information, or this field must contain. In this case, we can say must contain. In this case, if it's a number field, but in this case, it's not a number field, so we can just leave or probably remove the restrictions, right? In this case, so they just allow people to enter their email addresses. Then what we can then do is that we can then add a multiple choice. What are you requesting for, right? So let's go for the choice. Please enter what you require, right? Enter your select, or it could be select your request, right? Select your request. Okay, so we could make it multiple answers in this case. So option 1, we can say I want to request for a computer, right? As an example, or a computer / laptop / desktop, right? And then we could also add another option. Let's say stationaries, or we can just say paper. Let's make it as simple as possible. And we can continue to add more options. So let's say we need a pen. Should in case you need pen, right? Also, you could also look at adding another. Let's say, for example, you need a monitor, right? A monitor, right? So you could add as many fields as you want. In this case, it is required because I think this is the main objective of this form. And then you will be done. You'll be done with this, right? You'll be done with this. And then you are then able to what they call it to have your response. In this case now, I can then select to say I want everyone in the organization to access this information, right? Or do I want anyone in the public to be able to access it? So let me just select this one for now. As you can see, I can then I am then done with this particular form. So basically, I have created a form within the SharePoint site. I can also go back as well. I just want to go back and share my screen again. I can also go back to the forms once I'm done, back to my SharePoint site to continue with what I was doing, right, in terms of the form creation. So basically I have created this form, and I can go back to my SharePoint site to continue my editing. As you can see, that's embedded this form within my SharePoint. I can then be able to publish, right? I can then be able to publish the site, for people to go and interact with it, right? In this case now, again, I want to try and add some more web parts to this SharePoint site. So I'm just going to go and again edit the page just to continue to add some more web parts. So as you can see, I have a form web part. I can also try and design my section by using the edit section. so that at least I can make it a bit more more interactive. So I can say I want a three column web part. So I'm going to select 3 column. You know, I can then begin to edit, you know, the web part, right? So in this case now, I can go and add another web part, right? So maybe let's say I want to add a YouTube video. So what I'll do here is that I'll add a YouTube video to this web part so that we can see how the display is going to look like. So that means you can really bring information, you know, to your organization in terms of how they interact from a web part perspective. So as you can see on this YouTube video, it wants me to add the embedded code, right? So on YouTube, you are able to, what you can do is that you are able to right click on the video that you want to embed, and then select what they call it, select the option to the option to embed or to copy the embedded link. So in my case, I would copy an embedded link, copy embedded code, right? And then I would then be able to go back to you know, my SharePoint site and then paste that embedded link. So as you can see now, I've added an embedded link. It's going to try to bring in the YouTube video, right, to the platform, right? And then I can then save that, right? Automatically, it has actually saved, so I can then save that. So as you can see, I'm creating my my web parts as slowly as possible, right? What I can also do is that on this next section, I could add some other functionalities, you know, in there. I could say, for example, I want to add some image, right? Or I want to do some additional things, right, within that. I could also, you know, add a number of functionalities, you know. So as you can see, it has some functionalities to add. You can even add a Twitter link in there. You can add a stream. So stream is what you use to portray all your Streams is what you use to record all your videos within Teams, right? So when you are recording your meetings or when you are recording your event, it stores it under Streams, and from Streams you're able to manipulate it or update it further, right? So you can add a stream video. You can even add people, right? You know, to it. You could add other processes, and you could actually go and embed your own code within this application. I could go and embed by using the embed function as well to embed a you know, a code, or you could even have a file viewer in there. So let's just say we want to have, okay, let's just leave the file viewer for now. We could add for now, let's say we'll add a countdown, right? So we want a countdown timer. So you can add a countdown timer to say that, well, probably there's an important event that is going on. So let's say year end, right? Year end, countdown to year end, right? So maybe you are looking at your sales revenue, right? Sales revenue, and you want to do a countdown to your year end, right? So in this case, you can add a countdown timer. So basically, you can add a countdown timer. We can, of course, go and edit this this web part. We can edit the web part so that we can edit the timer. So in this case, we should then be able to then say, okay, this timer, let's say, for example, your financial year end is December, as an example, just right before the, let's say December the 31st, you know, and you want your timer, you know, your countdown to be 00 or 0100 hours. You know, so you could do that and then add and then click on the, you can even add a background to it as well if you want. So in this case, let's just leave the background out. So we have our timer that has been updated, right, from that perspective. So basically, as you can see now, this timer is now saying that you have about 140 days, you know, to your year end in this case. So let's just say revenue year end. Let's just call it year end again, year end, so that at least we know that this timer is to track your year end functionality. So so from this perspective, you could see that you know, we are creating our SharePoint site the way we want. And as you can see, I'm creating it together with you, right? So that's how simple it is actually to have your SharePoint going on for your internal organization, right? So basically, it's as easy as that in terms of making sure that you have your organization in a very interactive mood. So again, you will then be able to then see my screen again shortly. But however, though, I can go ahead and publish this this SharePoint site. As soon as I publish it, it becomes live. As you can see that the request form is here. Anyone coming to this site can fill the request form with their relevant details, right? They can fill the relevant details. You can enter your email address. So I'm just populating this email, populating this web form so that you can see how interactive it is, right, from this perspective. What am I requesting for? Because this is a request form, right? If you guys could recall, I'm requesting for, let's say I want to request for paper, for computer, and also I want to request for paper. So I can then click on submit. As you can see from this web part, I've already submitted this form, and the relevant administrators will get this form and attend to my request, right? I can also watch the video, right, from this web part. Right from your organization, within your organization, you can chat, you can engage, you can communicate, send it to this email address, right? And so as you can see, I just paused there for a bit to listen to a video on the web, on the intranet site, on the SharePoint site. As you can see, I can see my timer. My timer is going on to say, well, we have 140 days to year end, so we need to push aggressively on sales to ensure that we bring in the sales number. So as your organization, you are building what you want for your organization, and you having everything that you need at your fingertips, right? So you could build any processes or any automation that you want, and you bring your organization together using this SharePoint toolset. So at this point in time, I would then be moving moving now to the panelist discussion, because I believe that we've gotten the essence of Microsoft 365. We know that Microsoft 365 has a lot of tool sets that you can use for your organization, right? We understand that that also that your organization might have unique requirement, right? Unique requirement for your particular organization. But however, though, I think what is important to note is that, right, there's a lot of tool sets to actually benefit from in terms of what your organization can do, right? And it's very important that we continue to go through this. And if you're interested in learning more about Microsoft, you could contact our learning space for us to take you through some of the courses that we have in there. But it's very fun. As you can see, we on the call we were able to play around with SharePoint. We were able to look at some of the things together in terms of the functionalities that SharePoint has, right? And we did a recap of some of the functionalities. In fact, we even diverged to we even went into forms, to understand how to create the forms, but we're doing it from a SharePoint perspective, right? From a SharePoint to the forms, and you can embed video, you can embed a whole lot of materials and make it as interactive as possible for your organization. So again, in learning you would teach, and in teaching you would learn. And I think this is why we continue to bring you this webinar, so that we can make sure that we are contributing to your businesses, and we are with you, especially in these times. We are with you, and you can always reach out to us. We will see how to support you as best as possible. So basically, moving on to the panelist discussion, please, it's very important that that you continue to follow us. So we're going to be going into the panelist discussion now shortly. So please post all your questions on the Q&A section so that we can tackle it as quickly as possible. So what we'll be doing here is that we want to take your Q&A questions, and then while we have a discussion as well with the panelist members. So thank you again very much. Thank you for your time, and thank you also for listening. So we have a question here for Peace. So Peace, how can technology improve the exposure of my business? And I think this question is just, what are the leverage or what are the benefits of having technology, and also how does it how does it expose one's business, especially if you are using technology. So Peace, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mohammed. Okay, technology is able to bring a whole lot of exposure to the business. Right now, traditionally, before now, businesses normally will have to do exhibitions and spend a whole lot of money to hire venues and to promote their businesses, outdoor advertisement. You have to have a big billboard to be visible to your prospective customers and most likely your return buyers, customers you already have. But with technology, you might not, being that you're a small business, you might not be able to have outdoor advertisement, have a big billboard that's all over the city. Beyond your city, you are able to be visible with online presence. You're able to keep track on your clients, on your customers. You're able to reach out to them with technology without having to go to them, without having to run about pursuing them, booking appointments and having to wait in their office to see them and all of that. All of that is reduced to the barest minimum with technology. You're able to have exposure, that the required exposure you need, and you're not limited to your city, to your locality, to your geographic location that you find yourself. With technology, you're able to break boundaries. You're able to have clients that are outside your immediate environment. Like you're here in Nigeria, the World Wide Web has made everything easy. With your business online, someone who needs your product or the services you render is able to see you real time anywhere in the world. So with that, you're able to expand your customer base beyond your immediate environment, your locality. You're able to break boundaries. The opportunities become limitless for someone operating business with leveraging on technology. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that piece, for that answer or that response. And I think what is very important, that you're mentioning is the time to market with technology, and the fact that we can move from one meeting room to the other as quickly as possible using technology. A whole lot of benefit that you have sort of touched on. And I think this is a very fantastic point that you've made. So I would now be moving on to Anebet. I would just like Anebet to answer a question around what are some of the processes that small and medium business can streamline with technology. So I think this question is just probably looking at how do we streamline business processes, make it a bit agile, a more interactive, especially with the now demand of the customers. Customers want to have fun. Customers want to have value, right, for their money that they are paying. The customers are now very, they are now very savvy in terms of access to information. So Annabeth, I don't know if you can take this question. Thank you.
Hey, good morning, everyone, and thank you for this question. So there are quite a number of business processes that you can streamline using technology. The first one can be the day-to-day memo requests that you create in your workplace. Either be it collecting client information, you can use the form, or internally when any of your staff wants to make a request, you can also use the Microsoft form to collect data and also to create approvals also. You can also use the form to request for approval for any specific task that you are performing. Also through the, as Mohamed has showed earlier on, through SharePoint, you can also streamline how people.
Okay, as Annabeth was talking about or trying to explain, the technology can really be streamlined, or your business processes can actually be streamlined with technology, just making your process more agile and more comprehensive in terms of how you execute to your client. I think Annabeth was trying to talk about forms. The fact that you can use it to collect information that are actionable. So it's not just filling a manual form, but you can actually program your form to do certain actions based on the information that is populated. Let's say, for example, do I want to buy or sell a laptop? So if I say buy, it can trigger a procurement action. If I want to sell a laptop, it could trigger a validation process. So you could actually streamline and automate your business processes. So moving on to another question, the Q&As are coming in slowly. So moving on to another question is, how would Microsoft 365 aid the speed and quality of customer service? So this question, I would like for Blessing to answer this question. So how can technology or Microsoft 365 enhance the quality of customer service? Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for this question. So Microsoft 360 can make your business more speed up your business in them. Like if you're having customer wants a product and you want to advertise or show it to the person, your customer, instead of going all the way, instead of the customer coming all the way to come and meet you in your office or where your branch is, you can just easily use one of Microsoft software to send details and information and give it to the customer. It is your businesses, and it also helps the customer to be more comfortable in the product he or she is buying from you, and it also helps you manage your time and meetings. Like, okay, if a customer comes to your store and you want to be sure that he or she is not satisfied, so you can use like a form to get information from your customers without necessarily meeting them directly. So it just it helps you advertise too easily with even people outside your organization with your Microsoft 365 365. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Blessing. I think your perspective is very good because it just looks at it from a day-to-day business operation in terms of customer seeking for information. You could email that information to them. In terms of a customer wanting to see your product, you could probably also use your SharePoint, or you could also be able to have a meeting with them using Teams to show them your product live on the Teams call. You know, and some of the things that you speak about is quite important. Also, bookings as well. You could enable the booking function so that your customers could book an appointment with you to view your product or to view your solutions. You know, even if you point your customers to your website, sometimes the personal touch of being on the call, showing them and explaining to them goes a long way in helping them with their decision-making ability. So fantastic one, Blessing. I'm going to be going now to Onidamola to answer this question. Why is Microsoft 365 good for business mobility? So this is just looking at the mobility side of your business. How, you know, because most of the small and medium businesses, you know, they have their business on the go, right? They have their business on the go. The profiles of medium businesses, you know, it's very agile, you know, because you're not as established as a large organization. So you got to really be on your feet. You also got to be out there in terms of engaging. Of course, in the case of COVID-19, you got to also get there safely, making sure that you're complying with all the relevant regulations or advices that the health authorities have been giving. But even at that, mobility is an important point. Mobility also could mean that, you know, I am able to access my applications anywhere in the world, be me being in my house, me having my mobile phone, or whatever the case might be. So, Onidamola, I don't know if you can just shed some more insight into this particular question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mohammed. As you said earlier, mobility has to do with having access to what you need at every point in time as a business owner. So for business continuity, we need mobility. For example, with Microsoft now, you can have access to having your device on 5 different, having your applications on 5 different devices. For example, if I don't have access to my laptop, I can always access my applications from my phone as if I were to be on my laptop. So at every point in time, there's business continuity because I have application access to all that I need. So for my business to continue, for example, if I need to talk to a client, I don't have to be physically present with the client. I can always have a call. And if I don't have access to my laptop, that doesn't mean that that's the end of the business. From my phone, I can always have a conference call, be it audio or video conference call at every point in time with my clients. And that way I can have access to what my clients need at every point in time. Now, mobility also has to do with letting your clients have access to what they need at every point in time. So with Microsoft 365, I can always have access to whatever I want at every point in time. You don't have to stop your business because the person that have access to a particular file is not around. Then the business has to stop, or you have to hold on for that person to be available to be able to continue with that. It doesn't work that way with Microsoft because you have a centralized way of storing your data. So at every point in time, if the person that is working on a particular file is not available, I can always go there. Anyone within the organization can always go there to solve the client requirements. You don't have to say, oh, it's Annabeth that is handling this particular client. So if Annabeth is not available, that client's business has to stop. No. With Microsoft 365, there is mobility. You can work from anywhere. You can collaborate, and collaboration helps to improve the time that you use to serve your customers. For example, the normal way is, this person is not around, then we can't work on the file. No, at every point in time, all of us can always work on a particular file and deliver to our clients as quick as possible. That way, if when we satisfy our customer, they can always come back at every point in time. So with Microsoft 365, you have access to mobility. You can redefine how you use technology to move your business forward. So Microsoft 365 is actually the best when it comes to mobility, because you have access to whatever you need at every point in time. You don't have an excuse for not being able to work on the customer's requirements. So thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much for that, Oyindamola. So I would now be going now to another question, and Olumide would help us with this question. With technology, what is the future of small and medium businesses? Thank you.
Hi, Mohammed. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity. So I'll just go straight to the point. So what Microsoft is doing to help small businesses improve their technology is in three major forms. They are trying to enable, or what they are doing currently, is enable businesses, especially in the small, medium scale, to do what they call modern workplace. They are creating tools and solutions that will help them work remotely, collaborate faster, and also have seamless business processes. Now, if you take each one of those things on its own, like you've shared today about SharePoint, and you've done previously about PowerPoint and its tools, is to help business. So you can decide to be a business owner, and you can have a staff in London, another one in Brazil, and you can collaborate together using the modern workplace. You can communicate together using the Teams solution. You can have processes using the SharePoint that you just shared today. So in a nutshell, Microsoft is helping SMEs between now and the next coming year, help them move their businesses from the on-prem model or from the brick and mortar model to a more sustainable cloud model. Thank you very much, Mohammed.
Okay, thank you very much, Olumide, for that, and pointing out some of those points. So I'll be going over to Peace to answer this question. How would M365 help save time in my business? So I think this is around time. I know some of these questions are a bit, repeated, but however, we want to stress the issue of or the concern around time. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much once again, Mohammed, and everyone on the call. Microsoft 365 is able to help businesses reduce the time they spend in carrying out the different tasks that businesses carry out. It's able to reduce the time spent in carrying out processes in the business. Let's take, for instance, like my co-panelist Oyindamola mentioned earlier, we're able to collaborate on a file. Traditionally, before the advent of the kind of technology we have now, traditionally, what we used to do then was you have a floppy disk, you slot it into a system, you want to work on another system, you copy that file, then there was USB drives. So we have to keep copying and duplicating files here and there. The time, productivity time is being lost in the process of doing all of that. With Microsoft 365, it's a cloud-based solution. Your productivity process, it's being, the time spent copying all those files and doing all that is being reduced because your files are online, they are on the cloud, and they synchronize real time. I'm working on a file. My colleague traveled to the United States and needs to also make an update on update some information on that file. That person is doing that real time as I'm doing it as well. So that time is reduced to the barest minimum of if I had to work on it and then send to him, send a mail to my colleague. to continue working on the file, and my customer is waiting, my client is waiting to get feedback from me, and you keep telling your customer, give it some time. My colleague that was working on it, those excuses are reduced to the barest minimum with the Microsoft 365. You're able to your files sync on the go. You might be working on your laptop, and like we are in Nigeria now, sorry to say, sometimes they have issues with power, your laptop just goes off, you're able to continue with your mobile. You have an urgent work to do, and maybe a client, your very high-paying client, calls you and needs updates on a particular project you're working on, and you're on the go. You don't need to say, okay, let me call my staff to continue to get back to the client. You're able to, everything is real time. You have access to it real time. You're able to even send feedback on to your client immediately. Everyone in the organization, everyone in the team working on a particular project are able to have up-to-date information. So if a client met someone else, met a particular team member when they started off the project, they meet someone else the next day, or they're speaking with someone else over the phone the next day, that person, the other team member, is not lost, because every information they need is synced real time. We don't need to, the person speaking with that client, it doesn't need to say, let me call my colleague to find out. So that time of, let me call my colleague, let me find out, is being reduced to the barest minimum, because all you need to do is just log on to the suite and you have every information you need, and you're able to you're able to give out the right information, and you're able to send out the right information. Your clients are able to see the progress you are making, and that to me, it's more efficiency, and that's more money, because the time you spend making that money is being reduced because you get your job done faster. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Peace, for that. So I'll be moving now to Blessing to answer the question around how can SharePoint benefit small and medium business. We covered SharePoint earlier, but we just want to get another perspective from Blessing. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this question. So SharePoint can benefit small and medium businesses in various ways. Let's keep, for example, maybe there's a project you are doing, or there's an assignment that you're assigned to by your client, and you need to go about it, or maybe you've done the assignment and you need to share it with your client. So SharePoint can help you do all these things. So once you put in all the assignments and everything into your SharePoint, you are able to send it to your client. So he assessed everything and he checked, and to be sure that, okay, this is what I gave to this organization to help me do, and they've done the right thing. So you're able to send the information to the customer, and everything goes smoothly well without going all the way to go and meet the person. So it helps you as a small business, helps you keep your files. Maybe there are some things that you want your business to do, or you want to grow your business with. So you've written them down before, but SharePoint helps you keep all of these. So you don't lose all of this information with SharePoint. Unlike, okay, maybe if you wrote it down or you try to do it in a A4 paper or all these books, you can easily misplace it. But once you put them on your SharePoint, it helps you save all this information. Or maybe like, okay, you want to upgrade your product, and how you want to change how you want to your business to look, or how the apps look you want to present to your customer. So SharePoint can help you edit and update a new way of the way you want your business to look. So it also helps you have access to your other colleagues or business partners or associates, or they have access to the information too. Maybe there's a business that you guys are working on, and the person that is in charge of that project is not around. So unlike other times whereby if the person is not around, the project has to stop because nobody have an idea of where the person has started from or where the person has stopped from. So, but when you're using your SharePoint, it's not necessary if the person is not really present there. So all of your other colleagues can access this information, and they can even continue from where you stopped. So it helps your business to get more faster, and it's easier to access, and it's even easier for a layman person. Is you don't have to be a professional to use the SharePoint. So it's accessible for everybody, for small businesses, for large businesses. Everybody can use it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Blessing, for that response, and I think it's very clear in terms of practical use of SharePoint. So Oyedemola, this is the closing question. Do small and medium businesses need more training to implement technology? If so, how can they go about it? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mohammed. Unlike enterprises that have the resources to employ experts to be able to run their technology, small and medium businesses, when they implement technology, they need their staffs to be trained on how to use this technology. So they are often faced with relying on face-to-face training compared to large corporate organizations. So we have resources online that you can always go through, but small businesses tend to move faster when they have face-to-face training, because that way they can ask questions on how to go about and they don't have anyone questioning them because they don't have the expertise. So to be able, you need a whole lot of training to be able to run your technology without having to employ an expert. So you can go online, you can get resources, but then we have a partner company called the Learning Space that can help us with training you with different technology, ranging from your customer relations to your Microsoft to whatever technology that you need to run your business. We have the Learning Space that can assist you with that at every point in time. You can get in touch with us. We can train you on how to run your business without having to waste additional money on employing experts. So we can train you on cloud computing, on Microsoft, on every technology that you need to run your business as a small and medium business owner. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Oyedemola, for that response. Thank you all for attending and joining this webinar. We especially thank our panelist members for being on this call today. Thanks for your time and thanks for sharing your insights. We continue to learn every day and we continue to grow. Again, my name is Kabiru Mohammed Aliu. I would like to wish you well for today. Please have a great day. Thank you.